Yo, RX back with another breakdown of UFC Vegas 85, I believe I'm correct on that number. Doladze versus Imavov. We back after another fucking break. At least this time it wasn't a month like the last break, but still, a break is never great. But we are back with an Apex card. Fuck. Whatever. At least we have fights. That's all that matters. A Saturday like last week with no fights fucking sucked. But we have them back now. So, good, bad, or indifferent. Let's enjoy some fights. So, yeah, not really much to say besides it's really good to be back. I'm always happy to record these breakdowns and on Sunday, my recap. And, yeah, enough for me rambling. The last thing I will say before I get into the breakdown is, please like, comment, subscribe. 100 subs goal by the end of 2024. And unless we're going to say something, let's break down some fights. 13 fights in total, some good, some bad, a lot bad, but we start off the night in the low-level heavyweight division. Oh, Christ. As we begin with Thomas the Train Petersen versus Jamal Stormtrooper Pogues. Oh, fucking kill me. What? Why? Let's talk about Thomas Petersen. Thomas is making his UFC debut, coming off the Contender Series, where he literally beat up a dude who trains at Burger King. He looked fine. He got one of the easiest fights ever, so it's not really saying much. Chandler Cole is literally just a fat dude. Like, all due respect, he's not a fighter. He's just a big dude. So, it's really doesn't show much about Thomas Petersen. Like, it took him into round 2 to finish him. And he had to submit him, no less. He easily could have ground and pounded him, so... Yeah, but not that impressive his Contender Series performance, but they did not give him someone he could really look that impressive against. So I'll give him benefit of the doubt there, but yeah, he has a lot to show in this fight. The one, and I guess the one good thing for him is they gave him maybe a dude who's barely better than Chandler Cole, if he even is better. So, yeah, I was not thrilled with Thomas Petersen's performance on the Contender Series, but I am interested to see how he does translate into UFC, because he does seem to be the rare heavyweight wrestler, so maybe he can be the next Alexander Romanov, because there's very few heavyweight wrestlers, but they always seem to succeed. Kurtz Blades, Romanov, Jayaldan. Will Thomas Petersen join them? We'll see. I remember his striking on the feet. It's not terrible from what I remember, but it's definitely not good. So, yeah, his game plan is going to be to wrestle here, pretty predictably. So, yeah, not very much else to say. To talk about his opponent, Jamal Pogues, why the fuck did he get a contract? I still don't know. Jamal in the UFC is 1-1 coming off the Contender Series, where he should have never got a contract because he looked terrible on the Contender Series, to be honest with you. He had a really boring, slow performance, and that somehow got him a contract. Then in his UFC debut, he had a terrible performance against Josh Parisian, and then he lost to Mick Parkin in his last fight, where he looked terrible again. So he's just not a good fighter. I really don't know why he's even in UFC. He is a terrible fighter. His striking is slow. He has no power. He doesn't even seem to throw with power. He has no killer instinct. He's just slow. He has no ground game, so this should be probably a walk in the park for Thomas Petersen. and it's just, why are you here? Simple as that. The betting odds for this fight have Thomas Petersen minus 195 to plus 165. I would agree you could have Petersen. No. I didn't think you can put him to 200. 195 is perfect looking at it. He should win this fight pretty easily. Just get takedowns and go from there. Either you ground and pound him, you submit him, or you win a decision. I really don't see how Thomas Petersen could lose this fight. If he fought Jamal's fight, which would be striking, he's probably a better striker. So, yeah, this is gonna be a bad fight, which no shocker. And yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. But hopefully, knock on wood, Petersen could maybe get to finish and make it not go 15 minutes. But we know I'm not going to be that hopeful. So, yeah. Of course, my pick is going to be Thomas Petersen. Jamal Pogues is a joke. And I'm going to go Thomas Petersen by... a part of me is leaning a finish, and the other part's leaning a decision. I'm going to say decision. I don't know why. I just feel like this fight is going to be really slow, really bad. And it's not gonna look good on anybody's record. So yeah, I'm gonna guess a pretty slow, bad fight. I'm gonna go Thomas Petersen by decision. I think he'll clearly win, but it will not be an impressive or an exciting one. So yeah, Thomas Petersen by decision. Hopefully he gets a finish, but I doubt it. After that, we had to lightweight for another debut off the contender series, but this guy actually deserved his contract, and he did look pretty good. And we had to our second fight of the night, which is MarQuel Mederos versus Landon the Lone Wolf Quiñones. This could actually be a really fun fight. 10 levels. You're stepping up 10, 20 levels from the Petersen fight, so that's really great to see. And yeah, let's talk about the debuting fighter, MarQuel Mederos. MarQuel is, of course, making his UFC debut on our contender series, where he looked really good, getting a vicious knee knockout as an underdog. He looked really good. He really beat up this dude, and then he landed a perfectly timed knee. So, yeah, he did look very impressive on the contender series, and it's going to be interesting to see how he does look in his debut, because they didn't give him that hard of a debut. Like, Landon is probably about the same level as this, it's Kav dude, if not maybe a little better. So, they're not feeding him to the wolves right away, so maybe he can look pretty good. I know he trains with a lot of good fighters. I know on the contender series he had like Chris Gutierrez and Johnson Martinez at his fight. So like he trains with really good fighters. Of course, I'm not showing them, but yeah. So he's hanging around a lot of high level talent, and that's always good to see from a young fighter. Hopefully, he can absorb some of that knowledge and talent from great fighters like them. And let's see how he does in his debut. So, yeah, not very much else to say. To talk about his opponent, Landon Quiñones. Landon in the UFC is 0-1. He stepped in on short notice to fight Nasrat Haqparast in his debut, because he did lose on The Ultimate Fighter, but they called him to come make his debut, like I said. Yeah, I'll give him benefit of the doubt, and I will say I was wrong. He did look a lot better in his debut than I thought he would. He was very tough. It was not no walk in the park for Nasrat, which I thought Nasrat was probably gonna have a pretty easy night. But no, yeah, Landon definitely brought the fight to Nasrat, and respect him on that regard to do that to a really good fighter like Nasrat. But now you're getting a step down. You're not coming in at short notice, so MarQuel has time to train for Landon. So it's gonna be interesting to see how he does. He won't have the debut jitters, but he will have the no short notice step in. So it's gonna be interesting. He's not a terrible fighter. I don't think he's UFC level fighter though. I think he is definitely like, I think he's, I don't even want to call him bottom of the barrel, because I don't think that's right, but I think he's like, he should be on the outside looking in. I don't think he's a UFC level fighter, and maybe he'll prove me wrong this week, but I don't know. Like, his striking's good, his striking's alright, his toughness is not bad, he has a good block, that's about it. His ground game's okay. He's just not really an impressive fighter. I've seen very little of him fighting, but every time I see him, I'm just like, I'm not impressed with this dude. So, maybe he proves me wrong. Never know. So, that's, Landon Quiñones. The bands for this fight have MarQuel Mederos, minus 175 to plus 150. Yeah, I'd probably agree. MarQuel at minus 170, 175 does sound about right. I think he is the better fighter in this fight. I think he will do the better work in this fight. He, coming off a great Contender Series performance, riding high into his debut against a dude like Landon, who's not the toughest debut in the world. He should be able to look pretty good in this fight, because again, he did impress on Contender Series, so let's see if he can carry that over into his debut. So, and I think Landon does train with some, a few good fighters. I'm not sure who off the top of my head, but to know MarQuel does train with guys like Gutierrez and Johnson Martinez and Mark Montoya, of course, is a big boost to have a great coach like that and great help. So, always useful to see. But yeah, my pick here is going to be MarQuel Mederos. I do think he'll be able to be the better striker and win this fight. How do I think he'll win this fight? Landon did look to be really tough, so I will probably say decision. He took a lot of good shots from Nazareth, and he were able to give a good amount of them back. So, yeah, I think this won't be the hard debut for MarQuel, but I do think he'll leave with a little bit of, he'll be a little sore, so a couple bruises. But yeah, I'm gonna go MarQuel Mederos by decision. I think he'll do the better work and be able to win a decision here. So, MarQuel Mederos by decision. After that, we had one of the lowest level fights you will ever fucking see. After we had women's flyweight for a joke of a fight between Julia Stoliarenko versus Luana Dread. Oh, I know that feeling watching her fight. Carolina. Oh my god, I feel dread breaking this fight down. Let's talk about Juliana. Yeah, I'd rather watch Pena fight. That's a lot. Let's talk about Julia Stoliarenko. Julia is somehow still in the fucking UFC with a record of 2-5. Her wins, Jessica Rose Clark and Molly McCann. Her 5 losses are Leah Latson, fucking in 2018. Yana Santos, Julia Aguilera, Alexis Davis, and Chelsea Chandler. She is literally just an armbar. She can't fucking strike. All she can do is submit you, and she's not even that good at that, to be honest. She's such a bad fighter. It's really crazy how shit of a fighter she is. And how she's still in the UFC, I don't fucking know. It's truly impressive to an extent that she's been able to keep her job. Cause, yeah, she sucks. So, whatever. She saved her job in her last fight, beating Molly McCann, who we'll talk about later. Good job. And I will talk about this since I guess it is an interesting thing. This is her second fight down at flyweight. She did move down, and a lot of people said she would not make the weight and all that, and she made weight. And not really much I can say if she looked better at flyweight, because the fight was 2 minutes and we didn't really see much. So, but to start off a to start off your run at a weight class with a giant upset win is a nice way to start. So maybe flyweight is her weight class. She is only 30. If she could learn how to throw a punch, that'd be nice. So yeah, we will see what happens. But yeah, not very much good to say about Julia Stoliarenko besides she knows how to do an armbar. That's about it. To talk about her dreadful opponent, Luana Carolina, another person who I'm not happy is still in UFC because she is worse than Stoliarenko. I fucking can't stand Carolina because she sucks so bad. She is 4-3 in the UFC. Her 4 wins: Presgrilla, Cachoeira, Poliana Battaglia, Lupi Godinez. That was a fucking robbery, trust me. And Ivana Petrovic. Her losses: Ariane Lipsky, McCann, and Joanne Wood. Yeah, this was a robbery, so just wipe this away from your memory. Lupi got completely robbed. And her other 3 wins: Can, next, and a Can. So, like, Carolina is so bad. She has no power in her striking. She can't grapple. Like, why is she here? Like, her career highlights getting her legs snapped and her fucking chin elbowed. Like, even when she wins, there's no highlight from any of the fights she has won, because nothing happens. I watched the Ivana Petrovic fight. I don't remember seeing that fucking happen. Like, it's fucking insane, man. She is so bad. It is truly impressive how bad she is and how she keeps a job. So, and she saved her job also in her last fight, beating Petrovic. So, yeah, you beat a complete fraud. There, I gave you 1 clap. That's all you fucking get. Yeah, she's a striker, and calling her a striker is disrespect to every other fighter who you call a striker. So, yeah, this is gonna be a hard one to watch. So, people, you can shit on the female fight. You leave great fights like Marina and Andrade alone. Shit on this one. This one you can shit on because this is a joke. This is pathetic matchmaking. But leave the good ones alone. So, whatever. The Panthers fight of Julia Stoliarenko, a slight favorite, pretty much a pick'em. I think that's changed over time, but I don't give a fuck to look. Yeah, this is a pick'em. They both suck equally, and I don't give a fuck who wins. I hope the double knockout and they both get cut, but that will sadly not happen. I'm just gonna go with Julia Stoliarenko. I think she's a better fighter by a fucking nose hair. And I think she has more ways to win, aka an armbar, compared to, like, Stoliarenko could win a decision or get an armbar. Carolina could win a decision. So Stoliarenko has more ways to win, so I'm gonna go with that. So I don't care. This fight fucking sucks. I'm going Julia Stoliarenko by decision. Cut both, please. Cut both. Next. After that, we finally get to some talent on this card. No offense to MarQuel, Mederos, but we really had no, like, high-level talent. Even these two ain't high-level talent, but at least there's something. As we head into the featherweight division for our 4th fight of the night between Blake El Animal Bilder versus the Korean Tiger Jeong Lee. There we go. My bad. Yeah, this fight could be decent. This fight could be pretty fun. So let's start off by talking about Blake Bilder. Bob the Builder is 1-1 in the UFC, coming off the Contender Series, where he actually beat a pretty decent fighter in Alex Morgan, which I swear I talk about this every time, but that's always a pretty decent win to have. To beat a actually very decent fighter on the Contender Series is impressive. And then in his UFC debut, he beat Shane Yeong, and then in his last fight, he got beat by Kyle Nelson. Bilder has shown his 2 UFC fights. He is still very, very green. Like, he's not a bad fighter, he's just green still. Like, he beat Shane Yeong, but who couldn't? And he lost to Kyle Nelson. Kyle Nelson didn't even look good doing it. Like, he looked terrible losing to Kyle Nelson. And that's a bad loss, Azat. If you are having a close fight with Kyle Nelson, you kinda suck. And Bilder's fight was not even that close, he just got beat up pretty much. Like, his striking's okay. His power, I think he has a little. Really he wants to just wrestle. That is definitely a bless me. I think his bread and butter is his wrestling, and that's actually not a terrible part of his game, but everything else, his gas tank ain't that great, his striking ain't that great, his movement's okay, but even that fades over time. His power again ain't very like knockout power. It's just a very green fighter. He makes a lot of bad fight IQ moves. So, like, maybe he's gotten better since the last fight. He has had a lot of time to get better. But, man, you gotta really impress me after losing to Kyle fucking Nelson. So, maybe he has gotten better. Only one way to find out. To talk about his opponent, Jeong Lee. Jeong is making his first UFC. Well, I say his UFC debut since winning Road to UFC last year in a fight. To be honest, he lost. This was a complete robbery. Yeez, or Yies, however the fuck you say it. This guy got robbed completely. Like, so, but whatever. Lee got the win and the contract, and he's not even that bad of a fighter. He did show some holes in his game in that fight. His gas tank ain't great. His wrestling ain't great. He definitely got bailed out by some shitty judging. So, I don't know, maybe, again, I could say the same thing I said for Blake Bilder. Maybe he's gotten better since his last fight. He's had even more time to get better. A year, exactly. So, maybe he's gotten better. We will see. I say he's the better striker in this fight. Probably more power. Gas tank, I think it really comes down to whose gas tank will last longer. And to answer that question, I have no fucking idea. Blake is going to be wrestling, which either can kill his gas tank quicker or Lee's, because Lee's will have to be defending it. And I could see by round 3 this being a very slow fight. So, this is going to be an interesting one. The betting odds have Lee minus 130 to plus 110. I would agree. I would have Lee around minus 130, 125. A small favorite, but a favorite. I do think he is a little bit better of a fighter. Like, again, his striking versus Blake's wrestling, pretty much. And then if you swap it, who is better? Would you take Blake's striking or Lee's ground game? And I say that's very close. I think Blake has a little bit better striking, but I think his lack of power definitely kind of makes it I don't know, it's a weird fight to break down, because these are two really green fighters. Two very, I don't even want to call them prospects. I look at prospects as being like guys you can actually see doing something. Until one of these dudes impress me, I won't call them a prospect. They're both just really green overall fighters. So, hopefully one of them, or hell, for the sake of the fight, both of them have got better in their weaknesses. But I doubt it. So, whose gas tank will hold up longer in this fight? I'm gonna say Jeong Lee. I know I'm saying that name wrong, I'm sorry. I think he'll be able to do the better work in this fight, striking. If he does gas out late, hopefully he's taken the first 2 rounds in the bag already. So, if he does gas out in the third, he can just survive until the final bell. But you never know. I think this fight could go a couple ways, but I'm going to lean with Jeong Lee to get the win here, and I'm going to say by decision. I don't know. I don't see him really finishing Blake. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But I feel the safest going for decision, especially with how these two really counteract each other a lot. So I think this could be a really close fight and maybe a controversial decision, if anything. But I'm going to go Lee by decision. Let's see what green fighter wins. Guess this is the best way to describe that fight. After that, we head to welterweight for another decent fight. I think this is our first short notice step-in of the card. I think there was 3. But yeah, this fight's not bad. As we head to welterweight for our co-main of the prelims. No, our third to last, my bad. As we have Themba the Answer Gorimbo versus Pete Dead Game Rodriguez. I'm pretty sure Rodriguez is stepping in for, he's stepping in for Kiefer Crosby. So definitely a step up in competition for Themba. I definitely think Rodriguez is better than Kiefer Crosby. So, and this ain't like a super late replacement. I think this happened like 2 weeks ago. So it's not like this happened on Monday or some shit. So, yeah. So, it's gonna be interesting. I'm excited for this one. Let's start by talking about Themba. Themba in the UFC is 1-1. In his UFC debut, he got beat by AJ Fletcher, and then in his last fight, he beat Takashi Sato. In his debut, pulling AJ Fletcher in your debut is never really a great sign. AJ is a very underrated fighter. I still don't know why they cut him, and AJ was able to just really do whatever he wanted to Themba. But then in his last fight, Themba really showed that he can compete in the UFC, because he easily beat Takashi Sato, who, if you can't beat Takashi Sato, there's gonna be a problem. But Themba beat him pretty easily. Yeah, like, Themba's a really good wrestler. Like, his gas tank's decent. His striking ain't. To be honest, his striking is very forgettable. He really just wants to clinch with you, get you to the ground, win there. And it might work. It might work, might not. Against Fletcher, that's never gonna work. Fletcher can't strike and grapple to an extent, but Takashi can't do either of those things. So, yeah, Themba's a decent fighter. I'm actually shocked they put him on an Apex card after the shit with The Rock. I would think he'd be on a pay-per-view early prelims, because that should give him a lot of exposure. But whatever. I'm happy to see Themba back, and I think it's a very good matchup for him. If he can get this win, that's 2 wins in a row, and then you could start building him up more. So it is cool. Like, he has a great story, and like, it's cool to see him in the UFC doing this shit. So maybe he'll get win number 2 and continue the, I don't even want to say hype train, because no one actually thinks he's gonna do shit, but the nice story, I'll say. So, yeah, that's Themba. To talk about his opponent, Pete Rodriguez. Pete in the UFC is also 1-1 in his UFC debut. He stepped in on short notice and fought Jack Della Maddalena. And then in his last fight, he knocked out Mike Jackson. Yeah, nothing to say about his debut. In short notice against Jack Della, because it didn't go as good as you think it did. But then in his last fight, which was in 2022, which I'm kind of shocked by, he knocked out Mike Jackson, as anyone who can throw a punch should. So, yeah, both his fights, there's not really much to say. Like, in his debut, he fought a ranked dude on short notice, and in his last fight, he beat a dude who's not even a fighter. So, he just beat a little bitch. So, not really much to say about Pete. He's a striker, he has good power. His ground game, I don't think we've seen it in the UFC yet, and I highly doubt it's that great. I highly doubt he has ground game at the level of Themba's, but his striking is way better than Themba's. So, yeah, this is just striker versus grappler, and it's gonna be an interesting one. The betting odds have Themba Gorimbo -300 to +235. I would move Themba down a little bit. I would have him maybe -250. And even then, that's a reach, because if Pete keeps it on the feet, he could knock out Themba. And if that did happen, I wouldn't be too shocked. But, yeah, I definitely see the hype on Themba in this fight. Definitely a favorable matchup, especially with being a good amount of inches taller and a longer reach. That definitely does help. So, I think it's going to be an interesting one. I think, this is gonna be a fun one. I feel I definitely don't think this will be a boring fight. I'm interested to see what happens in this fight. So, yeah. Who am I gonna go with? I'm gonna go with Themba. I think he'll be able to get it to the ground. Maybe he'll take a couple shots. Maybe he even gets rocked and he is forced to shoot. But most likely, he'll be able to get to the ground and do what he does. And I'm gonna say, I don't know why, I have a feeling he gets his first finish in UFC. So I'm gonna go Themba Gorimbo by submission in the, let's say the second. I feel a Themba Gorimbo submission in the second. I don't know why, something tells me Themba by finish, and I'm gonna go for what I feel. So I'm gonna go Themba Gorimbo by submission in the second. Hopefully he can get to the ground. If not, he will be knocked to the ground. So yeah, I think this will be a fun fight, and Gorimbo submission in the second. After that, we had the real co-main of the prelims, and it's a pretty decent fight in the flyweight division between, and this is another short nose stepping, by the way, as we have Charles Energy Johnson versus Azat Maksum. Charles Johnson is stepping in for Nate Maness, I believe. Yep. Actually, a pretty decent step down in competition for that, so can't really get mad at which, so that's interesting. But yeah, let's talk about Charles Johnson, who I've talked about so many times at this point, it's kind of crazy. He is 2-4 in the UFC, really, and to be honest, 1-5 is being honest, so his one win in the UFC is Jimmy Flick. His 5 losses are Muhammad Mukayev, Zolga Sumagulov, Ode Osborne, Cody Durden, and Rafael Esteban. The only other fight I can actually say he could have won is the Ode Osborne fight. That was really, really close. But besides that, yeah, he lost every other fight. That Zumagulov fight was one of the shittiest fights I've ever seen, and a robbery. So, yeah. Charlie Johnson is such a weird fighter. He has fights where he looks really good, like the Flick fight. And even like against Mukayev and Ode, he looked okay. But then he has fights like Durden and Esteban where he just looks like shit. Like, his gas tank ain't very good, but then it is at times. His striking's never that good. His ground game's decent. But against Mukayev and Durden, he got beat pretty easily on the ground. But those are really good wrestlers, so I don't know. The more that I see Johnson fight, the more I think he ain't UFC level. So, like, that Esteban fight, in hindsight, he probably should have won. Esteban was so tired in the third, he probably should have been able to get that finish, but whatever. And this is his last chance, though. If he loses this, he's getting cut, so let's see what he does. Like, especially in this fight, I really don't see the path to victory for him. He's a bad striker, he has no power, his ground game is there, but if he's a better wrestler in this fight, I don't know. So, his gas tank is shitty. This is going to be an interesting one. If he can get the upset here, respect him, but I'm not going to hold my breath. To talk about his opponent, Azat Maksum. Azat is 1-0 in the UFC, coming in his UFC debut. He beat Tyson Nam in a very controversial fight. A lot of people say he lost that fight. It was a very close fight. I thought he looked underwhelming, but at the same time, I think a lot of people underestimate how good Tyson Nam is. So for him to look how he did against Nam, I'm not that shocked by. I'm not that shocked. Again, Tyson Nam's a very good fighter, so I get why that kind of looked underwhelming, but at the same time, you're against a 40-year-old flyweight, you should be looking a little better. So, but this is his chance to show everyone how good he is and show some hype why he is this undefeated Kazakhstan problem in the flyweight division. If he looks underwhelming here, it's over. This is literally, like, Nate Maness was a harder fight, and even that was a pretty easy win for him. So it's gonna be interesting to see how he looks here. He should win pretty easily, I think. I think he's better everywhere. He's better on the feet. He's better on the ground. His gas tank is probably better. His strike, I really don't see how Johnson wins this fight. So maybe I look stupid by the end of this fight, but I doubt it. So, yeah. The betting odds for this fight have Azat minus 190 to plus 160. Yeah, I'd move him up to minus 200. He should win this fight. Again, the path to victory for Charles is very slim to none. So, yeah. I'm gonna go with Azat Maksum by decision. Charles Johnson is not an easy dude to finish, and I think Azat will, look pretty good in this fight. Maybe he does finish him. I won't be shocked if he does, but I'm gonna say by decision. I think he is gonna bounce back from that pretty questionable performance against Tyson Nam, and I think he's gonna look pretty good. So, I'm gonna go with that Maksum by decision. And, yeah, not very much else to say. Don't get fraud checked, dog. Pretty simple. And after that, we head to the featured prelim, one of the most pointless rematches ever, on the level of Anthony Smith and Ryan Spann. I won't say Rodriguez and Waterson, because that rematch was fucking amazing. But yeah, this is a completely pointless rematch that will probably suck, but whatever. And we finished the prelims in the straw weight division with Meatball Molly the Can versus Diana, the Warrior Princess Belbiţă Cheese. Meatball versus Belbiţă Cheese. What a fight. I'm gonna fucking lose it soon. Okay. This is a rematch from Diana's UFC debut 3.5 years ago. Why the fuck is this happening? The only interesting part of this fight is Molly is moving down to 115. I don't see that being very good for her. She is 33 years old. She is a bulky flyweight as is. So I've seen pics of her throughout the week. She is very skinny, which I don't know if that's a good thing. Because at least at flyweight she was bulky, but now she looks drained. I'm interested. I think she's the most interesting fighter to see on the scales tomorrow, because I want to see what she weighs in at. I want to see if she's gonna be 116, or is she gonna be a fucking 114.5 or some shit. So, but enough about that. Let's actually talk about Meatball Molly. She was 6-5 in the UFC. I'm not going down her whole UFC career, just a brief. We know who Meatball Molly is by now. Patty's friend. She's had some ups in her career. She had a really good streak of fights for a minute, beating Cans, and then she ran into probably the best fighter in that division, being Erin Blanchfield, which is understandable. Losing to Erin is completely okay. Losing to Julia Stoliarenko ain't okay. Now I'll actually talk about this fight, because this is still embarrassing. The UFC gave you a complete layup to get back on track in London, co-main event, and you blow it against a chick who we all thought would die on the fucking scales. You get subbed and embarrassed in 2 minutes. What the fuck, Molly? She's just a shit fighter. It's scary. It's sad that she's better than Patty. That tells you how shit Patty Pimblett is. That she's a better fighter than Patty. Huh. She's a terrible fighter. Excuse me. All she can do is hit hard, and she hits hard. She's not even a good striker. She can't grapple to save her fucking life. And she's just a bad fighter. And all her wins show that. Her only good win on paper is Ariane Lipski, and that's only because it's aged well over time. At the time, it was a pretty easy win. All her losses, and even some of her losses ain't great. Lara Frentz and Julia Stoliarenko. Really? Come on, man. I don't know. This is Molly's last chance. Do I think they'll cut her if she loses? No. But they should. Dude, they should. If you lose to Julia Stoliarenko and Diana Belbiţă back to back, you deserve to get cut. That is some insane shit. The only reason they won't cut her is because she's Patty's friend. Fuck. And I don't even hate Molly. I know a lot of people hate Molly because she's friends with Patty, which I think that's weird as fuck. I think the thing with Molly, she actually seems like a cool person. Patty's a fucking douchebag. Molly actually seems like a really nice person. She just has bad friends, and she's a joke fighter. So, I don't know, I feel bad for Molly to an extent, but at the same time, she's never fixed the giant hole in her game being her lack of wrestling. So, yeah, I don't know, she's pretty bad. Speaking of pretty bad, Diana Belbiţă, she's a pretty bad fighter also. Like, she has a shit record in UFC also. She's 2-4. Her 2 wins are Hannah Goldie and Maria Oliveira, the bottom of the barrel when it comes to fighters. And fuck it, at least Molly's losing to Erin Blanchfield and Talia Santos. Diana's losing to Molly McCann, Liana Jojua, Gloria DePaula, and Karolina Kowalkiewicz. This are unfucking forgivable. This ain't great. This is the only okay loss, and she actually didn't look half bad in that fight. Which makes no fucking sense. Dude, I don't fucking get women's MMA sometimes. I don't get MMA sometimes. So, Diana's not a really good fighter. She has pillow hands just like Luana Carolina. She could not knock out a fucking bedbug. Her grappling is fine. Her gas tank's fine. Her fucking, again, she's a bad fighter too, man. Like, I don't want to be too mean, but I could be super mean. And like, that Belbiţă doesn't even deserve that. Molly does. Since Molly deserves it since she's been so hyped up. Belbiţă's just like, yeah, she's a shit fighter, so whatever. The betting after first fight have Molly McCann minus 250 to plus 205. I don't get that. If you take away Molly winning their first fight, why would you think Molly's minus 250? Like, so now they're down a weight class. Belbiţă is 3.5 years older, so she's got more experience. Molly is 3.5 years older, and she, like, okay, let me explain this a little better. Okay, so from right now, from their first fight, they are both 3.5 years older, which is good for one, bad for the other. They're down a weight class now, which this is actually Belbiţă's weight class. This is not Molly's weight class. Fucking one of them is coming off a pretty good fight against Carolina and lost. Molly's coming off one of the most embarrassing loss of her career. Like, one was co-maining in London and now sent to the Apex. One is used to the Apex. Like, come on. Belbiţă has nothing to lose. Molly has everything to lose. Belbiţă was gonna go do fucking OnlyFans if she didn't get like a new fight or some shit. Like, ugh. I don't get what people see in this fight. If I had to make the betting odds, like, I'm either doing a pick'em, or to be honest, I would have Belbiţă the favorite. Like, and I'll say I'll give you the one word reason. Wrestling. If Belbiţă is smart in the goddamn slightest, she shoots like her name is Hamza Chimaev versus Kevin Holland. And you keep Molly on the ground for 5 minutes. Take round 1. Do it again in round 2. Do it again in round 3. Win. Molly can't stop a takedown. Especially down a weight class. She'll be drained. She'll gas even quicker. Just fight smart. Just fight smart and win. My pick here is Diana Belbiţă. I'm going with an underdog. My only real underdog pick besides one later, but that one's a little biased. And I don't get the betting odds here, but I'm going to trust, and if I lose, if I get this wrong, cause this dumbass didn't wrestle, I'm done picking OnlyFans chicks, because she counts now, cause she's gonna do it. My last card I had, fucking Polyana Viana. Sorry about that. This card I have Belbiţă. If I get this wrong, I'm gonna fucking flip a table. Just wrestle, you dumb fuck. Please. Please. My pick here is Diana Belbiţă by decision. Just fight Smart. If you go strike for strike with Molly, you will lose again, you dumbass. Wrestle. That's all I gotta say. Diana Belbiţă by decision. So there's the prelims. Fine prelims if you take this and this off. If you take this garbage and this garbage away, it's a fine prelims. This fight's okay. This could be fun. This is a good fight. This could be okay, and this could be alright. Fine prelims. Now we get to the main card, which is actually pretty decent. You gotta get through a little garbage to get to the good part of the main card, but it's whatever. So let's get to the main card. 45 minutes into this. Oh boy. Well, let's talk about the main card opener, which, why the fuck is this on the main card? As we begin the main card in the middle, in the welterweight division, with the RGV bad boy, Gilbert Urbina versus Charles Chuck Buffalo Radtke. What the fuck? Let's talk about Gilbert Urbina. Gilbert in the UFC is 1-1, coming off tough, where he fought in the finale against Brian Battle and lost. Then in his last fight, in his move down to welterweight, he beat Oran Kosi. And yeah, I won't talk about the Battle fight. That was up a weight class on short notice, all that shit. In the Kosi fight, his welterweight debut, he looked really good. It is Oran Kosi who sucks, but he did look good, and he did win as an underdog there, which I predicted. So, yeah, he looked good, his striking looked good. He's a well-rounded fighter. He can strike, he can wrestle, his gas tank's decent. He's a very solid fighter. Yeah, and he's only 27, so he's getting better. So, yeah, not very much to say about Gilbert. He's a very solid fighter. So, again, like I said, all I had to say is he's well-rounded. So, and he's gonna step down in competition from Oran Kosi. That says a lot. To talk about his opponent, Charles Radtke. Oh, fuck. Charles in the UFC is 1-0. In his UFC debut, he did beat Blood Diamond. He didn't, the thing with that fight, he didn't even look that good in that fight. He actually looked really underwhelming. He clearly won, but he just looked really fucking underwhelming. It was a clear but not even a good performance. His eye was fucked up. There was points where he was fucking getting punched and losing the moments of the fight. It's dude, what the fuck are you doing? It's Blood Diamond. Maybe one... Dude, I literally asked a question on Twitter yesterday. CM Punk versus Blood Diamond. Dude, I'm literally taking CM Punk probably. That's how bad Blood Diamond is. It's Jesus fucking Christ, man. It's truly embarrassing to an extent. So, yeah, I don't know. Radtke ain't a UFC level fighter. The only reason he's in the UFC is they found the lowest level guy they could to fight Blood Diamond, praying Blood Diamond would win, and he didn't, so... Yeah, I don't know. I don't see much in Radtke. I think he's a very, bad fighter, to say the least. So, yeah. The betting odds for this fight have Gilbert Urbina minus 165 to plus 140. I would move Urbina up to minus 200. He should win this fight easily. He is actually my lock of the night. That's not a good card for locks, though. I'll just go Urbina. I don't see how he loses this fight. He's a better fighter than Radtke. He's way taller. He's way taller with a bigger reach, pretty much the same amount of experience. He's a UFC level fighter, and Radtke is not. I'm gonna go Gilbert Urbina here. I think he should win this fight pretty soundly, and I'm gonna go. I feel submission. I don't know why. I feel submission in this fight. Did I pick submission in the last fight? Yeah, I did. I feel submission in the either second or third, because Radtke does slow down. Urbina really doesn't slow down. He's still, he did slow down against Brian Battle, but that's because it was short nose, upper weight class. I'm leaning round 2. I'm trying to think. I could see it ending in any round. I could see a first round finish. I think that's the least likely. I could see a second round finish, but that is Radtke's best round. It seems like in his career he had a lot of finishes, and that was his best round against Blood. And then we're round 3 when Radtke does slow down, but will Gilbert slow down by that point? I'm leaning round 3. I'm gonna go round 3. I feel like it's gonna be first or third. I think round 2 will be, I don't know. I feel third round. I don't know why. I'm gonna lean Gilbert Urbina by submission in the third. I don't know why I'm going third. It'll probably be in the first round, to be honest. But I'm gonna go in the third round. Yeah, because like the second definitely seems to be the early rounds are not bad rounds for Radtke. But like I don't know. I feel third round, and that's what I'm gonna go with. So. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why. I feel a submission. Yeah. I'm going Gilbert Urbina by submission in the third. Lock of the night, Urbina to win. Hopefully he submits him in the third. I fucking doubt it, but you never know. Urbina, submission in the third. Now, finally away from that garbage, let's talk about some actual good fighters on this card. And this ain't even the highest level of the card, but it's a good fight. As we head to middleweight for a pretty decent fight between Aliaskhab, the Black Wolf Khizriev, versus Makhmud Muradov. Very good fight here. This could be very entertaining. Let's talk about Khizriev. I have no idea how to say this name. Khizriev in the UFC is 1-0, coming off Contender Series a couple years ago at this point. He made his UFC debut 2 years ago against Dennis Tolulian, and we've not seen him since. Which is kind of sad because he really impressed me in his debut. He looked really, really good. Yeah, he fought a can, but still, he did look really impressive in that fight. And I'm happy to finally see him back. And I think this is a very good matchup for him. Like, a very solid step up in competition from his from Dennis Tolulian, of course. Yeah, Khizriev ain't your normal Russian fighter. He can actually strike. Like, his biggest problem is he is like 5'9" at middleweight, which is a problem, but he has made it work to get 14 wins in a row. Yeah, like, he can fight anywhere, striking, grappling, gas tank seems to be decent. He's a solid fighter. Pretty simple as that. I think it's a very interesting prospect in the division, and if he can actually, like, fight more than once every 2 years, I think he can make a little bit of noise. So, yeah, he's, pretty decent. To talk about his opponent, Makhmud Muradov, I think Makhmud, we know what we're getting from him at this point. He is 4-2 in the UFC. His 4 wins are Alessio Di Chirico, Trevor Smith, Andrew Sanchez, and Brian Barberena. His 2 losses are GM3 and Kyle Borrello. For all his wins, he's beat no one that good. His best win is Brian Barberena. He didn't even look good in that fight. He just wrestled. His 2 losses to lose to GM3 is terrible. And Kyle Borrello is very understandable. And the weird thing, he actually didn't look that bad in that fight. So, yeah. Muradov's a fine fighter. Like, his gas tank ain't great, but his striking's decent, good power. His ground game has gotten better, but if he's dumb enough to try and make this a grappling match, he will lose. So, his best path to winning is hoping he can win on the feet, and even then, again, Khizriev ain't a bad striker. So, this is gonna be an interesting one. Muradov definitely, is gonna have to climb uphill to win this fight, and it's gonna be interesting to see what he does. 'Cause, again, I think we know we're getting from that. We're getting a solid fighter, but I don't think a ranked fighter. I don't think he's a ranked level fighter. He's good enough to beat guys like Sanchez and Barberena, but I don't know if he's good enough to be a ranked level guy. So the GM3 fight showed that if you're losing GM3, you suck. So yeah. The bad first fight I have Aliaskhab, Khizriev -190 to +165. I would move it down a little bit. I'd probably have Khizriev maybe -170, 160 to +140. He should be the favorite, and I think he should and will probably win this fight. There are definitely some worries. He is much shorter, a lot less experience, been off for 2 years. So, this is going to be an interesting one. My pick here is going to be Khizriev. I do think he will be able to win this fight, probably with his wrestling, maybe even get a submission. But if he's smart, he definitely tries to wrestle with Muradov, gas him out early, and hopefully, probably by the end of the second, Muradov will be gassed out. And then he can maybe try striking, but even then, why? So, I think my pick here is going to be Khizriev. I think he'll be able to fight smarter and do what he has to do to win, so that's going to be my pick. I'm going to go Aliaskhab, Khizriev by decision. I think he tires Muradov out of wrestling on his way to win, maybe a submission or a TKO. We'll see. I'm going to go decision. After that, now we start getting to the pretty good fights on this card, as we have a really good fight in the women's flyweight division, and we have some ranked flyweights, one of the few ranked fighters on the goddamn card. So, let's talk about this banger at flyweight between Viviane Araujo versus Natalia Silva. What a great fight. This could be really fun really quickly. Let's talk about Vivi. Vivi in the UFC is 6-4. Some of her better wins: Alexis Davis, Roxanne Modafferi, Andrea Lee. Her losses: Jessica I, Alexa Grasso, and Amanda Ribas. This was a complete robbery, just ignore it. Yeah, she's only lost to, her last 2 losses have been to really good fighters. We forget this happened. Vivi's a pretty decent fighter, but she's getting older. She is 37 years old, so she's getting up there in age, and it has shown at times. Like in the Ribas fight, it showed. In the Grasso fight, it showed. But then she's turned back the clock. Like in the Andrea Lee fight, she looked really good. She looked good in her last fight. So, she's not a bad fighter at all. She's still a very decent fighter even at 37 years old. She's still fighting at a very high level, but she's definitely starting to fade. Like, she's starting to fall down the rankings. Like, not even that long ago, she was in the top, 5. Now she's all the way down to 8, fighting, the 12th ranked fighter. So, yeah, she's starting to fade down the rank, which is lame, because she's a good fighter, but age gets everyone. But yeah, she's a very solid striker. Her cardio has always been pretty bad, and I think we'll definitely see that again in this fight. Her ground game, she's been out-wrestled in the past. A Ribas fight really comes to mind in that regard. But she is definitely a decent grappler. So, and she's never been submitted. So, yeah, Araujo is a very solid fighter. She's getting old. That's the easiest way to put it. She debuted in UFC at what? Fucking 30? 32? In her UFC debut, she was 32, yeah. So, she started late, and now she's 38-7, so, yeah. To talk about her opponent, which she's fighting on her birthday, so happy birthday when she fights. Natalia Silva, who I have a lot to say about, because holy shit is she good. She's 4-0 in the UFC, with her wins being Jasmine Jasdovicius, Teresa Bleda, Victoria Leonardo, and Andrea Lee. What the fuck can I say about her? She is so good. I'll start by saying, I don't think she's even lost a round in the UFC yet. She dominated Jasmine from bell to bell. She dominated Bleza from bell to bell. She dominated Andrea Lee, and she finished Leonardo in the first. Maybe she lost a round in this fight, but I doubt it. She's just looked she's looked like a monster in all her fights. Her striking is so quick and so good. She has power. She's aggressive. Her gas tank's solid. She's so fucking good, it's scary. Like, when we're talking about her, like, by the end of the year, she'll probably be a top 5 ranked fighter, probably getting a title shot. She is so fucking talented. It's scary how good she is. So, like, if she runs through Araujo like she probably should, dude, you have a fucking issue on your hands, because who the fuck's gonna stop her out there, Vern Blanchfield? Like, god damn. Dude, I'm so excited to see Natalya fight. She is so good, and if she wins this fight, she deserves a top 5 ranked fight. At this point, she's that good. Especially if she wins this fight dominantly. Bro, come on. And I'm gonna check that if she's lost around the UFC. I really don't know if she has. So, she's just that damn good. She's just that damn good. And she's only 27. Fuck. The balance for this fight, I have Natalya Silva minus 290 to plus 235. Yeah, I agree. Natalya minus 300 seems very reasonable. The only reason she's not my lock for the card is it is a veteran versus a prospect, which is always a red flag to an extent. But I'm not gonna really, like, it's a red flag, but it's also not a really big one. Especially since Araujo's 10 years older, so, and is fading in her career. Like, Araujo's starting to get to the end of her career, as Natalya's career, it looks like it's just starting to get fucking going. So, I think this fight's gonna be good. I think round 1 will be really insane, but I feel like when round 2 and 3 hits, it's gonna start getting really bad for Vivi. So, yeah. Of course, my pick here is gonna be Natalya Silva. Just how? Do I think Vivi gets finished for the first time in the UFC? Ooh. Nah. And could it happen? Yeah. But I think Vivi will be able to go the 3 rounds with Natalya. The only reason I say that is because Andrea Lee was able to do it, and Vivi's better than Andrea Lee. So, I think it's going to be a rough 3 rounds for Vivi. I could see a 30-26 in there. But, I think she'll make it. I don't think she'll get, especially since we've seen her take some big shots and, not get finished. She went 25 minutes with Alexa Grasso, and she didn't look that bad, so... Yeah, I don't think Natalya will be able to finish her, and I think it's gonna be and Natalya won't go out of her way to get to finish. If she can just beat Vivi up for 15 minutes, she will, just like the Andrea Lee and Jasmine Jasdovicius fight. She's not gonna overdo it to get the finish if she doesn't have to. So, yeah, that's why I'm gonna go Natalya Silva by decision. Keep an eye on her, because when we're talking about her this time next year, she might be holding a belt. She's that good. Vivi, man. Good luck. Natalya Silva by decision. And after that, we go a little bit down in quality of fights, but this fight's even not terrible. As we head to the welterweight division for a fight we're finally getting after it's been cancelled twice now, or at least once. As we have Randy Rude Boy Brown versus Muslim King of Kung Fu Falikov. Yeah, this fight was meant to happen a while back, but it got cancelled, and now it's happening again. So let's do it. Let's talk about Randy Brown. Randy Brown in UFC is 11-5. He's had a lot of ups and downs in his career. This man having a 296. Ooh. Yeah, some of the better ones in his career are, let's see, Mickey Gall, Brian Barberena, Alex Oliveira, Chaos Williams, Francisco Trinaldo. His losses are whoever the fuck Mike Graves is. No comment. Nico Price, Vicente Luque, and Jack Della. He's had ups and downs. We know what kind of fighter he is at this point. He is 33 years old. He's just gonna be he's a guy who just wins some fights and loses some fights. He's never gonna be a fucking ranked guy, and he's never gonna win a belt, but he's never gonna lose to shit fighter. Well, he did lose to the worst fighter on the roster, but whatever. Bad night, off night, whatever, rematch, he would win. Yeah, Randy's a very fine fighter. He did really disappoint me in his last fight, because he did look pretty terrible against Wellington Turman. Like, all I remember from that fight is them clinching. It wasn't a good performance at all in a fight where he should have easily won. Like, dude, Wellington Turman's a joke. How the fuck did you look so, like, uninterested, if anything, in that fight? It is really worrying to an extent. So, but I think he'll bounce back from that bad performance with a better performance here. He is not, like, no. Randy's a decent fighter, but he's had some weird performances, and, yeah. Not very much else there. He's a good striker. Like, with his, he knows how to use his reach very well. You don't want to go to the ground with him. You will get submitted. And, yeah, not very much else to say. He's a solid fighter. To talk about his opponent, Muslim Salikov. Muslim in the UFC is 6-3. His wins, man, he beat Melvin Gillard. That's nice. His wins, Ricky Rainey, that guy, who, to name people you actually know, Staropoli, Zaleski, Trinaldo, and Fialou. His losses in the UFC are Alex Garcia, who, Ling Jiliang, and Nicholas Dalby. He is starting to really fade in his career. Like, he's getting close to retirement at this point. He's 39 years old, and out of his last 3 fights, he's looked pretty bad in 2 of them. Like, he got starched by the leech. He was able to beat Fialou, but Fialou's a human punching bag. And then Nicholas Dalby just dominated him in his last fight. He looked so bad in that fight. So, like, he's still a dangerous striker, but he's getting very, 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 very old. So, yeah, he's definitely starting to fade, and if he loses this one, I might say he should retire, because it's just starting to he's getting very old at this point in his career. Like, his gas tank is very bad. His kids he's just don't have it anymore. So, he's another dude who debuted in UFC late, just like Natalia Silva. Let's see, he debuted at 33, so, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, he was a decent fighter. Like, Staropoli, Zaleski, and Trinaldo was a very solid winning streak. But now he's getting up there in age, and it's showing, so. Like, that Dalby fight really showed how old he's getting, because Nicholas Dalby's a good fighter, I'll give him respect. But, yeah, Salikov looked very, bad. I'll say that, so, yeah. And this is probably a worse matchup for him than Dalby was, so, yeah. The betting answers, if I have Randy Brown minus 235 to plus 195, yeah, I'd move Randy Brown up to minus 250. He should win this fight. If they strike, it's a little dangerous for him, but he should be able to use his reach and do good work. If they grapple, he will probably get a submission. Like, it should not be a hard night for him. Like, he's so much taller with an 8-inch reach advantage. He is way younger. He's just a better fighter now, and even if Salikov was younger, I probably would still pick Randy Brown. So, yeah. My pick here is going to be Randy Brown. I think he'll be able to fight better. I don't think he'll get caught by any of Salikov's spinning moves or anything before Salikov gasses. And I'm going to go Randy Brown by submission in the... So I'm going to say the second. I think he'll be able to catch Salikov in something as Salikov gasses later in the fight, and I think Randy will walk away for W here. So I'm going to go Randy Brown by submission in the second. So, yeah. Not very much else to say. Maybe Salikov turns back the clock, but I doubt it. Brown by submission in a second, my bad. After that, the real main event of the evening. It's the co-main, but it's the real main event. We all know it. As we have a fucking banger in the lightweight division, as we have Hanato Money Moicano versus Drew Dober. I really don't need to break down either of these guys. I don't think. Money Moicano, he's had a very up and down UFC career, but now he's starting a Money Moicano character, and it's great, man. Who doesn't like Money Moicano? The dude's funny, and he's a cool dude. Simple as that. Drew Dober, the mega chin, that motherfucker. Like, yeah, Frivola knocked him out, but I still think that motherfucker's chin is fucking stone, and he hits like a truck. Like, dude, these are two fan favorites, and I can't wait for this fight. It's gonna be so good. The betting odds are not very good, though, because I know they say 140, but until Tapology updates them, Moicano is actually like minus 200 right now, which is insane. This is either Pick'em or Dober as the favorite. I'll say Pick'em. I could see Moicano wrestling his way to a win. I don't think he will. I think Moicano wants to put on a fun fight for the fans. I think he'll want to strike with Dober. So, I don't think he wants to fight like a pussy. So, I think it's the dumb thing to do, but again, if he wants to earn the fans' respect and go out there and have a war, Money Moicano is gonna get that money. I can see this. If he wants that money, get that fight of the night money, boy. Come on. So, this is gonna be a great fight. I can't do it justice. That's why I'm just trying to say whatever I can think to say about it. I can't wait. This is gonna be great. My pick here is gonna be Drew Dober. I always pick Dober, and I do think he'll win this fight. I do think he'll be able to crack Moicano's chin. Moicano has been off for over a year now. He's been injured. He's been doing YouTube shit. So how much of his mind is on MMA? A lot of factors. Dober just fought a few months ago. He looked really good. So yeah, I'm gonna go Drew Dober here by knockout in the first. I think he'll be able to crack Moicano's chin, which has been cracked many times by Khizriev, by Aldo, by Zombie. RDA almost broke him. So, yeah, and Dober's easily the hardest hitting guy he's ever fought. Also, I'm forgetting someone, but I doubt it. So, yeah, my pick here is going to be Drew Dober by knockout at first. I wish I could think of more shit to say about this fight, but it's just watch it. It's going to be fun. I can't wait. No matter who wins, it'll be great, but I'm going to go Drew Dober here. So, sorry, money, but hopefully you get a fight of the night. So, yeah. Drew Dober by knockout in the first. And now, an hour and 12 minutes later, we finally get to the fucking main event, and it's not even a good main event, god damn it. But, yeah, let's talk about this shitty main event, as we have Roman, the Caucasian? Doladze? versus Nasruddin, Russian sniper, Imavov. For once, I'll let you talk about these guys' records in the main events, because why is this a main event? Doladze in the UFC is 6-2. He really doesn't have any great wins. Like, one of your best win is Jack Hermanson, it says a lot, and you're ranked in top 10. Like, he's literally got one of the easiest runs to top 10 I've ever seen. Starpoli, a welterweight, Kaudakis, a can, Phil Hawes, a glass cannon, and Jack Hermanson, who sucks. So, and then his last fight against Martin Vettori, yeah, he actually didn't not look that bad. He could have won that fight, but the judges gave it to Vettori. So, Doladze's not even good. That's the weird thing. Doladze's not even that good of a fighter. Like, he hits hard. His ground game's okay, but he's 35 years old, and his gas tank is terrible. It's just not that good of a fighter, to be honest. So, and again, he got one of the easiest roads to the top 10 you'll ever see. So, I don't know, I've never been impressed with Doladze. To talk about his opponent, Nasruddin Imavov, another dude who's been really unimpressive at times in the UFC. He is 4-2-1 in the UFC. His wins are Jordan Williams, Ian Heinisch, Edmund Shabazian, and Joe Quinn Buckley. His two losses are Phil Hawes and Sean Strickland, and he had a no contest with Chris Curtis. He would have won that fight, but headbutt, so he doesn't have that, like, when Jack Hermanson is the best to win between two ranked dudes, they're the problem. Cause dude, Imavov's best to win is fucking Joe Quinn Buckley. Ugh. And he lost to Phil Hawes. Ugh, Christ. Yeah, like, Imavov is definitely a better fighter than Doladze. He's definitely a better striker. His ground game, I would not say is as good, but it's still decent. He has a better gas tank, maybe. But, man, it's just not... I don't get why this is the main event when neither of these guys are gonna do shit at middleweight. Like, no matter who wins this fight, he's gonna probably lose their next fight, because they'll fight probably fucking... If Imavov wins, he'll probably fight... I don't fucking know. I don't know, I'll talk about that after the fight, but I guarantee you they'll lose their next fight, because neither of these guys are that good. Fuck, neither of these guys are top 10 level guys. Like, fuck, Imavov has hit his ceiling. I think he's a 10 to 15 ranked guy, but he's not top 10. And Doladze is, I don't even know if he's a top 15 ranked guy, to be honest. There's unranked guys I think are better, like Joe Pyfer, Kyle Borrello, fuck, Bo Nickel is way better than both of these guys. So, I don't know. This is a really, really bad main event. That's annoying. This is not even a bad fight. If this was like a co-main or something, it'd be pretty decent. This as a main event is bad, especially since these two have shit gas tanks. Dude, by round 4, by round 5, this shit will be dreadful. Ugh. Whatever. All I can say is, I don't know. The betting odds for this fight have Imavov minus 150 to plus 125. Yeah, I would agree. You can move Imavov up to about minus 180, I would say. He should win this fight. If you break down the fight, who's the better striker? Imavov. Who's better on the ground? Doladze. Who has a better gas tank? Imavov, which I think will play big into this fight. Who, like, Doladze is 35 years old. This is his first main event. It's Imavov's second, and Imavov went 5 rounds of Strickland, so he knows what it feels like to be gassed as fuck. I think Imavov will win this fight. I think it'll be a boring fight. I think Imavov is gonna kickbox his way to a decision, and I think we're all gonna fucking be bored. So, terrible main event. I really don't care who wins. I'm gonna go Nasruddin Imavov. I think he'll win this fight. And I'm gonna go Imavov by decision. I hope I don't know what people are thinking here. I hope I'm wrong and we get a finish, but I doubt it. Imavov by decision. Terrible main event. But finally I can say, boom. Those are my picks. To go over them one last time. Thomas Petersen by decision, MarQuel Mederos by decision, Julia Stoliarenko by decision, Yeong Lee by decision, Themba Gorimbo by submission in the second, Azat Maksum by decision, Diana Belbiţă by decision, Gilbert Urbina lock for the night by submission in the third, Aliaskhab Khizriev by decision, Natalia Silva by decision, Randy Brown by submission in the second, Drew Dober by knockout in the first, and Nasruddin Imavov by decision. This card is weird. Is it good? No. Is it bad? No. It's weird. There's some gems on it. This is great. This is great. This is great. This could be good. This is alright. This is fine. Okay. Sure. But then you got garbage like, this is pure garbage. Garbage main event. It's a up and down card. Like, not even joking, if you swapped these and you had Moicano Dober as the main event, I think the card would look a little better. Fuck, if you had Dober, Moicano main event, Silva, Araujo, the co-main, the card would look way better, but whatever, UFC does not know how to order a card, and we see that every fucking week, so whatever. All we can say now is, let's get to the card and see what happens. So, next time you'll hear from me is when I recap this hopefully good card. Hopefully this does turn to a Hill Dern situation and it becomes a great card. And if it does, you'll hear me. If it does or it doesn't, either way, I'll be recapping it Sunday 1 p.m. EST. So, enough of me rambling, because I don't want to talk about this card for another fucking minute. I just want to watch it, and hopefully it's good. So, yeah, it's good to be back. I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be annoying you all again with my shitty breakdowns. And unless I'm forgetting to say something, please like, comment, subscribe. 100 subs go by the end of 2024. And, as always, RX out. Good vibes only and always.